Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This is Stan Hustad, Stan the Radio Man, and I'm back for the second version of a brand new program. I'm the leader of the What It Takes Radio Network, one of the inventors of the podcasting movement, and I have the privilege and the pleasure now to introduce a program that I've never, ever done before. In fact, it's one of the few programs where I can actually say this is a program about saving lives. Yes, the Transplant Zone. And I was brought to this realization through my good friend Gary, who is awaiting a heart transplant to keep him alive. And so we put together this idea that we're going to try once a week to come together and have a program for those people, perhaps wanting to know more about a transplant, in effect, are part of that long, long list of people waiting. Can we be an encouragement, a source of maybe some things to do or things that would be helpful, or perhaps encourage you to be eventually a donor? That's what we're all about. It's an experiment. We don't know how it'll work out, but I do know after the first program, which Gary and I put together, I think it's going to be delightful, it's going to be entertaining, and it's going to be fun. So here we go. My good friend Gary is now on.
Hi, I'm Gary Register. We're at the Transplant Zone, and this zone is going to be for anybody that's getting ready to have a transplant, and we will include all people. It doesn't matter if it's eyes transplants, liver, kidneys, but it's to help people understand what goes on when you have a transplant. Now, myself, I'm not at having a transplant right away until they call me because they've got to get a heart. And I am now wearing a LVAD underneath my shirt. And I could show it to you, but you might not like me pulling my shirt up. And this is what I was doing yesterday. Now, yesterday, I was in a hospital getting a heart cath. They were looking at the right side of my heart. And the way I understand it, I'm no doctor, I'm no person that is completely medical. I'm just an individual. And we thought that this is what people need to hear. You know, I'm a normal person, well, not so normal, because I've got a LVAD. And the other thing is that I was put to sleep yesterday, so I'm a little fuzzy-headed, so y'all give me a little bit of that leadway. And this is just what we're expecting with the Transplant Zone. We will, brown frog still. Anyway, we will do different speakers, different times, and we'll try to keep them to a bare minimum. If you want the whole history of my heart dilemma, well, they took me to the hospital, and 2 weeks ago I also had a shock. And man, was that a shock. The shock was I was driving down the road and my pacemaker defibrillator went off. And I thought, this is weird. And all of a sudden I said, oh, I hope it doesn't shock me again. So I put my flashers on and pulled over the side of the road. And the next thing I knew, it felt like a horse had kicked me. So I called the LVAD team and they said, well, don't drive in. Call 911 and get an ambulance to come and get you. And they did. And my wife was there. And I actually turned around and drove back home because I was only about 4 or 5 houses away from my house. So, and they go, were you driving? I said, yeah. They go, did you pass out? I said, no. I said, but I felt the first time that it pings you a little bit, shocks you, it's just a mild shock. and see if it will correct your rhythm. And so that gave me the heads up to pull over and stop. And then when the second one went, I felt like a horse had kicked me in the chest. And that was amazing because I go, whoa, what was that? And I quit singing at that point because I was driving down the road just singing, listening to the radio. And then I got that little tweak of the heart thing going off. And I'm sorry that I'm a little fuzzy, heard it again, because they told me not to do much today, not to make any decisions on buying a car or anything, nothing important. So, but we wanted to try this out and send it out to people and let them know that this is what we'll be doing. And we'll try to keep it in a short time to give you not 30 minutes or anything at one time, but just little short shots of what's going on. Now, when I go to the hospital for my heart transplant, you can go to Help I Will, and it will post when I go to get my heart transplant and anything else. So if you completely go to it every once in a while, you'll find out more information. Now, I'm going to pause here just for a second and get my mouth a little lubricated. Okay. And what I wanted to tell you now is that some of the things we're doing in Help I Will is we are taking trailer donations, campers, and we've been sending them, I didn't bring that cap, to Western North Carolina, and they're repairing them, fixing them, and we can, since I'm a 501c, we can give you a tax deduction for that. Hadn't got all the details worked out of that yet, but this is a learning process, and I'm learning every step of the way. So if you have a camper that you want to donate or sell for a modest price, I'm interested. I have to raise the money now to fund this. So now any of the money that comes in will go to Help I Will or set up the Transplant Zone. And I do not use any of it personally. Actually, I've been funding all these events by myself, my wife and I, and we've kind of run out a little bit of money there. So the other thing I was planning on doing was taking and getting a couple of tiny houses and put them in my backyard and have them set up where you can come by and look at them and see what you think. And then we may move the podcast to the tiny house and walk around. So, and the other thing I want to let you know is that I'm always on the batteries or on the extension cord. I walk around the house and I can only go 20 feet. And it's not too bad because I can get up in the middle of the night and I can make it to the bathroom and I can make it to the refrigerator and let the dog out to the back door. And then that's as far as I go. If I need to do anything else, I have to change over to my batteries instead of my extension cord. And somebody says, well, don't you get tired of that? I go, well, yeah, I do. But the funny thing is that this is where I am now, and it's like getting up, putting your glasses on in the morning. I go to the chair, put my LVAD shirt on, and put my batteries in, and all these alarms go off because I disconnect, then reconnect, and I can only do it once at a time. But I'm going to give you a quick peek. This is what I wear around all the time when I'm not hooked up. And these are my batteries over here, and there's another one over here, and right down here at the bottom of the shirt is my computer. Now, anytime I go anywhere, I've got to carry a black bag, and it's got a spare computer in it and 2 more batteries. So have they ever discharged completely? Oh yeah. And usually they don't do it one at a time. I've got a few minutes on one battery because they just charge up differently. And then I'm changing the one that goes off first so that as long as you've got 2 batteries, you've got a backup. So I'll do that real quickly. And the really funny thing was one night we woke up and my wife said, "Gary, what's that noise? Are you okay?" And we forgot to change the smoke detector battery out. So the smoke detector was going off, and Todd got up and walked around and looked. I knew it wasn't my LVAD stuff. And she goes, "It stopped." Well, we didn't think that it was the LVAD. We knew it. So I called the LVAD people and they said, "Well, what happened? Did you look at your meter, the computer?" And I said, "Well, it's kind of upside down, but I said it wasn't flashing and the green light was on." They said, "This is really weird." So the next night we went to bed. We kind of just left it alone. The smoke detector went off again. And so we figured out then it was a smoke detector. And we both looked at each other. She goes, "I don't know if I can go back to sleep." I said, "Well, that's okay. Let's climb up there and take that battery out." So we climbed up, or got the little stool out, and I climbed up there and took the whole thing down and took the battery out. And so we put a new battery in a couple of days later. We just let it there. I said, "Well, we got another one in the other room, so if there's a fire or something, we hear it." But then we changed all of them, so we haven't had that problem. Now we always change the batteries every 6 months just to make sure it doesn't go off. So it's just a funny story that you have all these things going on, and you don't really know, because when I went into the hospital, my heart, I was doing a heart cath and I died in the hospital. And they told me that, "Well, Gary, we don't know what we're going to do." Well, when I woke back up, they had told me that I was in ICU and I'd have been in it for 11 days. And I don't remember too much of anything in those 11 days, but I do know that I died and went to heaven and through a tunnel and had a conversation with the Lord or Jesus, whichever one you want to call him. And he said, "Gary," he said, "I have not got my money's worth out of you. And you were very hard to train. And you are very stubborn." And I said, "My wife tells me that all the time." So after that discussion, I had a little discussion with him. I said, "Well, I'm your servant, Lord." And he said, "Yeah." And then he asked me again later, he says, "I'm going to send you back. You got more stuff to do." So this is one of the things that I am doing right now. So if you want to be a part of this, you can look at the videos. If you want to send funds or anything, or campers, I'm willing. And I'll probably make some mistakes, which I kind of do that sometimes. And sometimes I put my foot in my mouth, but I'm out there. So if you need anything, call me at helpiwill.com. You can email me, or you can call my phone number. I put it on the back of all my hats because when I walk by sometimes, some people want to ask me something and I walk pretty fast. So this is the one that came from that conversation with Jesus. He said, "Are you my servant?" And I said, "Yes, Lord." And so the front of the cap says, "Servant of Jesus Christ." And it also says nonprofit. The burning bush is the one that you've read about if you read the Bible. If you hadn't, you probably should read about it. And it is an example of Jesus being on the earth in a bush, and it's on fire. And it's just an interesting story. So I won't go into that. Maybe that'll be another. But I've got all kinds of little stories. So just, I'm going to say goodbye for now. And if you need anything, you can call me. And if I can't do it, I'll find somebody that can help. So thank you for today.
Thank you, Gary. Let me tell you, I have done a lot of radio programs and done hundreds of radio programs with people with their first radio program. And my first radio program didn't go very well, but I got better after 45, 50 years. But I just simply want to say thank you very much. That was a great first start, and you're going to get really good at this because you have a real cause of heart. That's right. And you are a wonderful storyteller. So thank you very much. And thank you for paying attention. Please get in touch with Gary. He gave you the information of how to reach him. And we would be grateful if you would reach out to the Transplant Zone, tell us your story, and perhaps tell us how we could help you. You can reach out to me at stan@witradio.net, stan@witradio.net. If you'd like to know more about the technical or how we might help you with that, or maybe even be on the program. But of course, then you can reach out to Gary himself. So again, thank you for being a part of episode 1, adventure number 1, the experience, the experiment of the Transplant Zone podcast. All the best till next time. Bye for now.